Welcome back to That Recovery Life PDX. I'm Maya.
And I'm Jake. Today's episode is one of our most honest yet. We're diving deep into what it really feels like when addiction invades a relationship, how it isolates, shames, and nearly destroys two people who once shared everything.
Our guests, Alexis and Jason, are here to unpack the invisible weight of addiction, the loss of who they once were as a couple, the crippling stigma, and the hard-earned path back to hope and healing. They've agreed to share every raw detail: late-night panic calls, therapy breakthroughs, shattered boundaries, and the tiny moments of love that pulled them through.
Alexis, Jason, thank you for trusting us with your story. Take a deep breath. How are you two holding up right now?
It's intense, but I feel ready. Like a weight's been lifted just by knowing this conversation can help someone out there.
I'm proud of us for being here. Nervous, but proud.
Addiction doesn't just affect the person using. Loved ones carry their own burden of fear and guilt. Alexis, describe the first tremor of that fear for you.
I remember the night I found empty pill bottles under the sink. Jason said they were old prescriptions, but my gut told me otherwise. That night, I slept with my phone in my hand, flashlight on, ready to call 911 if I didn't hear a sound from him.
Walk us through what happened when you crept into the living room and found him passed out.
I found him slumped over the coffee table, pill fragments on his lip. I shook him, screamed his name, no response. I dialed 911 with trembling fingers. Seeing those paramedics threaten a Narcan dose in his arm was my rock-bottom moment. I felt somewhere between terror and numbness.
Jason, what was going through your head when you came to?
I saw the paramedics, saw Alexis sobbing. I realized in that second how deep I'd fallen and how much pain I'd caused her. I felt trapped in a nightmare of my own making.
After that night, how did daily life change?
I tiptoed around every little thing. If dinner was late, I'd worry he'd used somewhere. If he seemed restless, I'd fear he was looking for a fix. That constant hyper-vigilance made me feel like I'd lost half my brain. And I became defensive. Every accusation felt like the world was closing in on me. I lashed out because I was angry at myself and didn't know how to stop.
Loved ones often ride a pendulum of hope. Maybe tonight is the night he's okay, and despair. Alexis, tell us about a moment of hope that crashed into disappointment.
He went a week clean, and I believed. Truly believed. We laughed again, held hands like old times. But on night 8, I heard his car roar down the street at 2 a.m. He stumbled in, reeking of whiskey. I cried and screamed. In that moment, that hope turned into the sharpest stab of betrayal.
I remember seeing the tears in her eyes and hating myself. That look haunted me. It drove me deeper for a while, until I hit another rock bottom.
Photo albums come up a lot in these stories. Alexis, you mentioned blank pages.
Yes. I flipped through our last vacation photos. Us snorkeling, laughing, on a beach, dancing in the living room. Then the album ended abruptly. I realized we'd had 0 us experiences in months. That void felt like a chasm.
Jason, how did that distance manifest in your day-to-day interactions?
We'd sit on opposite ends of the couch, staring at our phones. Conversations shrunk to, "Where's my wallet?" or "Did you feed the dog?" There was no shared dreams talk, no inside jokes, just survival.
I remember I started planning solo trips with friends. Not because I didn't love him, but because I needed to remember what it felt like to feel free, to have joy.
Loved ones often feel abandoned, even though they're the ones left holding the pieces. Alexis, talk about that isolation.
I cried on my bedroom floor at 3 a.m., alone. Our friends didn't call. Family stopped inviting me. I felt like I was married to a ghost. Every call I made felt like I was begging for help, for something shameful.
I saw her loneliness, but I was so caught up in my own pain, I couldn't reach out. We were both drowning on opposite sides of the same ocean.
Shame is a quiet, corrosive force. Jason, what was the darkest shape your shame took?
I'd walk around with a fake smile, pretending everything was fine. Inside, I was rotting. I thought everyone saw me as a failure, a junkie. I avoided eye contact because I believed their disgust.
Alexis, you touched Al-Anon. Why was it so hard to ask for help?
I'd see those meeting rooms full of people and think, if they saw me here, did whisper, she let this happen. I was terrified of being that wife of the addict.
I hated that she felt that way. I hated that I made her feel broken.
What was the turning point? The moment you decided to wear your story instead of hiding it.
I found a private online support forum. People typed out exactly what I felt: fear, grief, rage. For the first time, I felt less alone. That tiny anonymity gave me courage to attend my first in-person meeting.
And I, separately, admitted to my boss that I needed help. That admission lifted a weight I didn't fully realize I'd been carrying.
Alexis, tell us about your first taste of real self-care.
My therapist gave me a 5-minute breathing exercise. 5 minutes felt impossible at first. I thought, I can't stop my thoughts for that long. But when I did, I wept. I realized I'd been denying myself kindness.
Jason, how did you begin the work on your own well-being?
I started with smart recovery meetings and a daily gratitude journal, writing 3 things I appreciated about myself. Then I added a 20-minute walk every afternoon, no phone. That walk became my therapy.
Boundaries are a form of self-care too. What was the hardest boundary you set?
I told Jason, no more borrowing money for rent. The first time I followed through, he had to sleep on a friend's couch. I felt guilty, but it taught both of us accountability.
My hardest boundary was saying no to old friends who still used. That meant surrendering a social life, but it saved my sobriety.
Alexis, Jason, what was the first sign that real healing was possible?
He showed up on time for therapy, every single week, for 2 months straight. That consistency felt like love.
She started calling me just to say, I love you, in the middle of the day. That simple reach reminded me why I was fighting.
You've built new rituals. What are your favorites?
Sunday morning coffee dates with no phones. 30 minutes of uninterrupted conversation. Just us.
A gratitude jar. Every night we write one thing about the other we're thankful for. Drop it in the jar, then read them on our anniversary.
Alexis and Jason, thank you for sharing every painful and hopeful moment. Your honesty will save lives.
If you're listening and feel weighed down by someone else's addiction, know you deserve care, support, and a network that sees you.
Visit That Recovery Life PDX.com for resource therapy directories, support groups, couples counseling referrals, and links to Al-Anon and Smart Recovery.
Subscribe, leave a rating, and share this episode. Your vulnerability could be the spark another couple needs.
Until next time, keep talking, keep reaching out, and keep believing that recovery and love are possible.